What's going on, everybody? This is Jeff Hillen with Selling Stories, where we discuss the struggles, successes, and life lessons learned through sales and in sales. I've got Larry Long Jr. here with me. Larry, what's going on, man?
Come on now, Jeff. I'm happy to be here. And I think you said struggles. I don't know if you saw my birth certificate, but that's my middle name. And I like to call them lessons earned. Some people might have lessons learned. I have lessons earned, but happy to be here, man.
Man, absolutely. Listen, I heard you speaking. I found out a little bit more about you through a podcast. And the thing that jumped off the page to me is the word jolt. Because I think in today's world, man, we all need that little bit of jolt. And if it's not caffeine, I think it's Larry Long Jolt. So if you don't mind, start off the podcast. Give us something. How are you going to get us energized for today, Larry?
Oh, man. Well, I don't know when people are going to hear this, but today it's a terrific Tuesday. Any day that ends in Y is just a blessing of a day. And that's my perspective. Hey, you got to do you, boo-boo. But if you're listening to this, first of all, thank you. And please thank Jeff for inviting me on. Secondly, let's go ahead and get you your little cup of jolt. You don't need coffee when Larry Long Jr. is around because guess what? I'm the CEO. Not your traditional CEO, but Chief Energy Officer of LLJR Enterprises. I'm a big believer that energy is something that we can control and something that has an impact on every aspect of our life, our relationships, our success professionally, personally. Really, everything that we do is based upon that energy, and hopefully it's positive energy and not that negative energy that holds us back.
Absolutely. And if you mentioned about holding us back, I think one of the topics I was questioning was the concept of getting unstuck. So for anybody that is maybe either getting held back or is feeling a little stuck, what advice do you have for them and what do you recommend?
Yeah, I appreciate it. And that's why I wrote my book, Jolt. Number one, let's take a look in the mirror. Let's go ahead and dissect. And chapter 1 says, what story are you telling yourself and believing? And I know there's some folks out there right now that are telling themselves a story that's fake news, a story that I'm going to tell you don't believe that hype because you're talking junk to yourself. And hey, I'm guilty as charged. My coach, and yes, I have a coach, she said, Larry, it's amazing. You're so positive and uplifting when it comes to everyone else. But when you start looking and talking about that person in the mirror, womp womp. She said, you're so negative. You're so defeated. You beat yourself up. You talk more smack to yourself than you would ever talk to anyone else, than you would ever let talk to you. And she was right. So if you're stuck, number one, look in the mirror. Look at what are you doing? What are you thinking? What are you saying when it comes to yourself? Number two, let's look outside. What's your environment? What people are you surrounding yourself with? Yeah, there's another chapter, you are what you eat, which would make me a fried chicken because that's what I eat. But essentially, if you're around negative Nancy's, negative Nellies, negative Neds, guess what? Whether you like it or not, you're probably going to be negative. What books are you reading? What podcasts are you listening to?
Selling Stories.
That's what I'm talking about, Willis. Really looking at around your environment and then being committed to making change. I know some of y'all are taking some notes. That's good, but we don't want to be good. We want to be great.
Yeah, how do we go from good to great, Larry? That's what the people want to know. That's why they tune in.
It's the ABCs, man. A is action. Got to take action. And you got to be accountable. Who's your accountability partner? Because if you try to do it alone, Houston, we have a problem. B, in the words of Journey, don't stop believing. You don't want to get me singing. I'll have you crying instead of laughing, but don't stop believing. C, you got to have the courage. You got to have the confidence. In the words of that great philosopher, Kevin Hart, say it with your chest. You've got to be able to communicate, and the majority of communication is listening. Don't let the microphone fool you. We've been blessed with 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. I told you the ABCs, but I'm going to keep going. Dream. When was the last time that you dreamed? No, bigger. No, bigger. You got to dream big. And then after D, A, B, C, D is E. It's energy. You can either bring energy or you can suck the energy out of the room. That's your choice. F, let's have some fun, baby. I'm going to stop right there. I could go on for days, but that is how you go from good to great. And it starts with action.
Yeah, I love it. And I was going to say the thing you were highlighting a number of things, which again, I'm jolted, man. I got juice going. I'm on the juice. I'm on the energy juice. But the routine, and a lot of people, they look at their phones to start their day. They get into that negative vibe right off the get-go. They get stuck looking at other people's lives and comparing themselves to external factors. And again, I'll be guilty as charged. One of the things that we can all look at is our own routines of how we're either uplifting ourselves and energizing ourselves to start our day, or what we're doing to hold ourselves back from what we can become or what we really believe we should be. And so just those ABCs, those 1, 2, 3s, man, I'm telling you what, I have a different perspective of what I need to do. So thank you so much for sharing for that.
Mama said knock you out. And yes, I got my boxing gloves on because you talked about such an important part. How do you start your day? Do you have a morning routine that uplifts you, that sets you up for success? Or are you getting your day started off on the wrong foot? I think they told me that breakfast is the most important part of the day to fill yourself. And I would say you need a breakfast of champions to fill your brain. How are you filling your mind, your body with nutrition, and your soul? How do you reflect and really prepare for the day? It sets the tone. Now, it's not just how you start, it's how you finish. How do you finish each day? Do you finish the day thinking about how am I going to win tomorrow? How did I do today, and reflect? And there's a quote that I love. And this is how I try to live my day every morning. It's a quote by Martin Luther King Jr. He says, life's most persistent and urgent question is, what are you doing to serve others? Yeah. At the end of each day, if you have a good answer to that, that's a life fulfilled. If you can't answer that question with a good answer, survey says, nah. What have you done today to serve one other person? That's what it's all about, Jeff, from my perspective. That's just my 2 cents. It ain't even worth a nickel.
Man, it's a simple concept to live by, but it's so true. And I was going to ask you, going back a step, good to great. Do you have any either self or other people that you've helped through your journey that you can reflect on and think about a story that comes to mind about how you took either, again, yourself or somebody else from good to great and what that means to you?
Wow. Jeff, I've been so honored and privileged. There's countless stories, but the one that really pops to mind is my man Manan. And he's in the land down under, Australia. I had the opportunity to speak at the 2 sales kickoffs for a company called Hootsuite. And then we follow that up with coaching for their leaders. Now, Manan, we talked about priorities. And he said, my priorities, number 1 is family. Lives in Australia, family lives in India. I said, I love that. He said, number 2, finances. He helps take care of his family financially, sending money back. I said, come on, man. That's straight to my heart right there. You're making me tear up. He said, number 3 is fitness. I said, say less. I said, let me see your schedule. Let me take a look at your calendar. What kind of workout program are you on? He looked at me like a deer in headlights. I said, what happened, Manan? That's number 3 priority. He said, dude, I don't work out. I said, damn, Gina, pardon my French. I said, do you want to work out? He said, yeah. I said, what's holding you back? I should have been a lawyer. We already know the answer. It's that person in the mirror. So I said, let's do this. You got your calendar open. Go ahead and schedule a boxing workout from 12 o'clock to 12:30. When you get done, send me a calendar invite. I won't be there, but I'm going to hold you accountable. When you get done, I want you to send me a sweaty selfie. Well, guess what? There's a time difference. So it's Sunday night, 10:30. I'm chilling at home. My wife is like, what the heck is that? What kind of training are you doing? Manan sent me a sweaty selfie, and his verbiage was, hey, thank you for making me do it. I held to my commitment. I said, Manan, I'm super proud of you. I didn't make you do a daggone thing. I just gave you the support, the encouragement, and you committed, took action, and followed through. Now, what you going to do? Are you going to keep it up? So that's a success story because he kept up his fitness journey. He kept it going, which Hey, I'm just the catalyst that's presenting information. I'm just cheering them on. Hercules, Hercules.
Well,
If Manon can do it, anyone can do it.
you know, two things come to mind when you say that, and thank you for sharing it. One, my buddy one time told me about working out. It's like, if you envision it like brushing your teeth, would you ever question brushing your teeth? It's a simple thing that, and listen, there might be some people out there. You have nice looking teeth, so I know you're a daily guy. But you know, the fact of the matter is, you know, if you put something that in your mind, and you mentioned a calendar, same deal. If you put a commitment to yourself in a calendar, let's face it, we wake up, we look at our phones, we do whatever on our phones first, we look at our calendar, and it basically is telling us, Jeff, Larry, here's what you're doing today. So if you could put it on your calendar, there's a higher likelihood of you making it happen. So I'm glad you said that, because there's too many people that rely on memory or rely on what they feel like doing instead of committing to it and looking at a calendar and saying, nope, it says I'm going to work out today. It says I'm going to do leg day. We all hate leg day, but if you put it in the calendar, you're going to do it.
I love it.
So I got to ask you though. I mean, when I saw you, one of the things that stuck out, besides the energy just right off the get go, was you talked about your come up through sales, and one of that was sad, smiling and dialing, cold calling, and another thing, striking out, because you said before to me you're a baseball guy. So give us some background, man. How did you start out in sales, cold calling, and how did you get to the point of success through the strikeouts that you saw?
Well, I mean, it wasn't even cold calling. My first entree in the sales, it was knocking on doors. This was when I was 12 years old. Lawns by Larry. My mom made a flyer because I said, hey, I want to make some money. I want to have a little bit of loot to do some things. I was trying to stretch out.
You're
so mama
fancy.
said, hey, I'll provide you with the resources, but you got to put in the hard work. So she put together those flyers. I said, okay, I'm going to go put them on people's porches. I lived in townhouses. She said, oh, heck to the nah. You better knock on some doors. I said, She said, well, what's the worst that they can say? I said, no. She said, is that bad? I said, yes. I don't like to hear no. She said, boy, you better get your little nappy-headed self out there and start knocking on some doors. I was knocking on doors, giving out flyers, talking about, hey, Lawns by Larry, miscellaneous lawn care services. And I actually got some clients. My best client, Mr. Rosen, because essentially I charged $10 for the middle units, because it was just front and back. Yeah. I charged $15 for front, back, and the side for the end units. And he used to say, hey, come back every week. I said, $15 every week? Okay.
Yeah.
that was my entree in the sales.
Okay.
Now, in the professional sales, company called SageWorks, they're called Abrigo now, I was smiling and dialing, and I was sad and blue, making 150 cold, actually ice cold calls to accounting firms. I don't know if you've ever met with an accountant, but when you leave, they're sending you an invoice telling you exactly how much it is for the time that you spent. They didn't want to talk to me. It's like hocus pocus, disappear. Yeah. That was the biggest slump of my career. I think I got one sign up in my first 740 calls. It was probably more than that.
But what are you telling yourself when you're driving into work at that point? Because, you know, you're going in there after a tough day in the office, a lot of no's, a lot of negative energy, I'm sure. What are you telling yourself as you're driving in the next day going, all right, man, here we go again. We got to have better results. What's going on in your head?
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to keep it real. I'm telling myself, are you really going back? I know you ain't the brightest brother in the world, Larry, but you better make a U-turn and go somewhere. But then inside of me, I said, hey, I'm going to make this happen. I'm going to give it my all. And I didn't do it alone, thankfully. So I had one manager. I won't mention his name. He knows who he is. I made 148 calls. He said, Larry, come into my office. I thought I was getting a raise. I said, I'm going to Sizzler. He said, Larry, our expectation is 150 calls. You made 148 calls yesterday. If you do that again, I'm going to tell you, just like the LA Dodgers and the Boston Red Sox told you, don't let the door hit you where the good Lord split you. He said, you're going to be out of here.
Wow. I
said, good googly muggly. They're savage up in here. I didn't make less than 150 calls after that. Now, another manager, I'm going to give him a shout out.
Yeah.
James Hatfield, Hattie. He said, Larry, come in my office. I said, dang, I'm getting fired that quickly? He said, dude, I like you. You got potential. But what you got to do is you've got to flip the script. I said, what you mean, James? He said, take this script, rip it up, and talk to people like they're real people. Hello, this is Larry Long Jr. calling with Profit Sense. May I please speak? He said, no one talks like that, dude. You sound like a robot. And this was before Chat GPT. He said, talk to them like you talk to your homeboys. I said, James, you don't know how I talk to my homeboys. That might be an HR violation. He said, yeah. He said, maybe not just like your homeboys, but find a happy medium and talk to people like they're real people. Share your story. Now, my story, I used to own an indoor baseball and softball academy. We ended up going out of business because we ran out of cash. We ran out of cash because we didn't understand our income statement, our balance sheet, our statement of cash flows. So when I shared my stories with accountants, with CPAs, and I asked them, do you have business owners whose eyes glaze over when you're trying to explain the income statement, balance sheet, statement of cash flows? They all said yes. I said, well, hey, I used to be that dummy, and that's why I'm talking to you now. I want to provide you with a resource that's going to help you get on their level. Yeah, accounting 101 for dummies, and allow you to really serve as that trusted business advisor. Is that something you might be interested in? Now, it didn't work for everyone. I had an accountant in New Jersey. I'll never forget it. He said, Larry, I got something for you. I thought I was about to get a sign up. I was ready to ding that little bell. He said he had something in store for me. He said, I want you to put on a pair of concrete shoes and jump off a bridge. I said, goodness gracious. He woke up on the wrong side of the bed. I went through our manual, our objection manual, and I was trying to find, how do you overcome the concrete shoes jump off a bridge objection? It wasn't in there.
Well, as I said, it's going back a few years. Today's world, you'd be like, hey, man, we got supply chain challenges. It's going to be at least 12 months till I can get some concrete. But back then, I'm sure it was ready in stock, ready to roll.
Oh, it was. And I told him, I said, God bless you too. And then I sincerely hung up on my side. I said, dude.
Self-hang up. It's never used before until then. No, you know what? You bring up some great topic, though. I mean, you have to be real. You went through something that not too many other sales guys, if you want to call yourself a sales guy at that point, had gone through. You had the most relatability to the sale than to your end user than anybody could, because you knew exactly what that process was like on the wrong side of it. So you were speaking their language when you related your story to them. I think that's perfect. And anybody out there, it may not be identical to Larry's story, but look yourself in the mirror, like you said earlier, and think about your pitch, think about the story you're telling, and understand where you're finding a happy medium. Because if you're not able to connect that dot, you're going to have a tough time, especially if you're having to call or knock as many times as you did.
Yeah, and really, it's about perspective. It's about my perspective changed to, I'm not just trying to get you on a demo. I'm really one person trying to help other people. I'm trying to serve the business owner who works with the accountant. And when I change that perspective, I'm not just slanging software. I'm impacting people's lives. I think Simon Sinek calls that your why. Mm-hmm. And my why was to have that positive impact so that a business owner didn't end up like I did. That's no fun when you have to shut down your business. That was my baby before I had babies. Blood, sweat, tears, a lot of hard work, just a lot of dedication. Not flushed down the toilet, but unsuccessful. Strike 3. And that's another chapter in my book, Strikeouts. They're a part of life. That's also my middle name.
You got a lot of names, man. Your mom must have had a lot of favorite names. She just couldn't pick one, so she had like 13 at this point. So
well, many of them I can't say on here.
I bet. So when you look at strikeouts, because we can all learn from strikeouts, you can understand, hey man, did I swing too early? Was I not, in the zone? What would you tell people about maybe your strikeouts as well as what they can learn from their own?
Yeah, well, number one, don't be afraid of strikeouts. And that's a lot easier said than done. But I'm here to encourage you. If you're striking out, you're trying. And if you're striking out, my hope is that you're learning, you're adjusting, you're making that adjustment so that you don't strike out as frequently. But oftentimes, and I'm guilty of this, two plus years ago, I should have pivoted to my own business, but I was scared. I was just scared. The FUD, fear, uncertainty, and doubt. So Find yourself people that will encourage you, and don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. For me, my mechanism when I'm not quite sure about something, I've never done it before, is to procrastinate. And working with my coach, we've developed that, hey, if I'm committed to doing something, taking massive action right now without thinking it through and making it perfect. No, go right now. And yes, let's fail forward. Let's fail fast. And let's learn. Failure is not a naughty word. It's not a bad word. Yeah. As long as you learn from it and as long as you share those learnings, those lessons earned, because if you're failing, you're earning them, you share it with someone else so it's not all for naught. I've had so many strikeouts in my life, I had to dedicate a whole chapter on the baseball field, on the slow pitch softball. Larry, how do you strike out in slow pitch softball? Hey, I figured that thing out. In life, in business, I've had plenty of strikeouts, but hey, they make for some good stories, and I can now have a good laugh. And I can tell you, Jeff, I ain't scared.
Yeah, and you're living, and I can tell you're living your purpose too, which also helps, right? You found what you're really meant to do in life. And I wanted to tell a quick story because it happened yesterday. I have a sales intern that I've been training. He's not fully graduated college, so he's learning the ropes of sales because there's not all schools teach sales. You know, they teach a lot of things. They don't teach sales. So we have a hyper fast training program to have him going out knocking on doors. So yesterday we're going out on the first door of the day. And I said, listen, I'm going to walk in with you. I'm not going to say anything. I'm going to let you do your thing. We had done some practice presentations. We did some scenario run throughs, something I feel very strongly in. So I'm excited for him to go in there. You know, we talked to one of the guys. It's like, yeah, actually the funny part is the guy we're going to meet's Larry. So we go in, we meet Larry. And of all
things, Larry Jones Jr.?
It's Larry Jones Jr. Yeah, Larry Jones Jr., your brother. And we go in. And of all the things I told him, you know, open-ended questions, like you said, be very relatable, come in casually. First thing he goes is, hey, I'm Jackson. Hey, who does your service? Right off the get-go. And the guy looks at him and goes, man, this must be a cold call because I don't even know what's going on. He's got a banana in his hand. He's just starting his work week, and we're dropping in on him, coming after him fast. And I could tell he looked like a deer in headlights. He looked shocked, like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I started that way. I'm not sure what to do with my hands or anything else I'm saying right now. And I just said, hey, man, Larry, listen, we just really appreciate you even letting us come in here. It's Monday. You're getting your week started. Like you said, you got to learn and you got to be real. I mean, we're never going to be perfect. You mentioned fall forward. When you're doing things in life, listen, when I started this podcast today, I started with saying Larry Jones Jr. instead of Larry Jolt Long Jr. Now, I cropped that out because I own the podcast and I can do whatever I want. But in all fairness, you know, we're human and stuff happens, man. And you got to just put a smile on your face and keep chugging. So whether it's striking out or hitting home runs, you're going to have another at-bat at some point. And the last at-bat really doesn't matter unless you go and try to improve.
No doubt. No doubt. So many great points there, Jeff. Absolutely love it. Absolutely love it.
Now, you said in something I saw, you are your gatekeeper. And I find that very interesting, especially as it relates to sales. So what does your message mean, Larry? And what can we take from that?
Yeah, I mean, it really comes down to personal responsibility. And this is nothing that it's not groundbreaking. This isn't revolution. These are things that we all know. But what I found, Jeff, and I'm guilty as well, is that the things that we know, we don't always do. My doctor told me, hey, Larry, if you want to live long and see your kids grow up, you got to stop eating so much fried foods. Well, here in North Kakalaki, we got a place called Bojangles. What time is it? It's bow time. Fried chicken and biscuits. But what I've learned is that I have to be in control, because if I don't control it and I let external factors control it, Houston, we have a problem. So I've got to be the own gatekeeper of what comes into my mind. What am I watching? What am I listening to? Who am I surrounding myself to and my being? Because it has an impact on me and my goals. It has an impact on me and my performance. Where do I want to get to? So I encourage folks to really take control as best as you can. Be intentional.
You seem like you're self-motivated. And has that always been just your DNA, or is that something that you've groomed over time based on your experience? Because that's tough for some people to wake up and have that self-motivation. So is that just you? And what do you tell people, or how do you teach it?
It's partly me, and I was blessed with a great example, two great examples I saw every day, my mom and my dad. And it's something that takes intentionality. It takes work. It's like a muscle. You have to continue to build it and grow it and live in it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
life is a four-letter word. It's tough. And when you talk about motivation, when you talk about inspiration, for me, the big thing is transformation. Are you better, a better version of yourself tomorrow than you were yesterday? That takes work. If you want to be honest with yourself, to be able to say yes, that means that you had to have done something. That means, and I just heard this, we had a speaker in for the National Speaker Association of the Carolinas. We had a banquet over the weekend. Hall of Fame speaker, Dr. Willie Jolly, he quoted someone else that said, hey, your life will be exactly the same as it is today in 10 years, with the exception of the books you read and the people that you have relationships and you engage with. And I believe that's true. What are you reading? What are you listening to? Yes, selling stories. What else? And who are you surrounding yourself with that's taking you in that right direction and not bringing you down?
Now you're the energy guy. You bring Jolt. So did you ever have to go through a situation where you had to either cut some people out or try to get into a different group of people to lift you up? Because that's also something difficult sometimes for people to, they have their friends, they have their homies that they've had for a long time. And if they're not, lifting them up and they're keeping them in that rut stage, how do you reflect on that? And how do you make the decision to maybe level up?
Yeah, sometimes you got to make the tough choices. And I'll just call it gently prune people out of your life that are not encouraging you in the right direction. And I can tell you back in high school, that's tough. Peer pressure is a tough thing and you want to be cool, but I can tell you the sooner that you're able to do that, and really if you can get ahead of it and surround yourself with amazing people and not even have that be an issue. But I had a good friend of mine who said, the people I got to cut out are actually related to me. And I said, hey, you got to do what you got to do. You still love them, but you realize that you can't be surrounded by them because it's not serving you in a positive manner. So gently pruning is a good thing in the long run, and they'll be okay, but it's tough. If it was easy, everyone would do it. Sometimes you have to make those tough calls. And
Yeah.
that's where that courage that I talked about early, the courage to do the tough things that might not be the cool things to do, but it's in your best interest. So that's my encouragement to folks is have that courage, the confidence to do those things that you know are going to put you on the right path.
Well, the thing you brought up earlier, and I wanted to say about courage and just reflection and growth is you mentioned you have a sales coach. And I think that's important because I think there's a lot of people out there that look at people that are motivational speakers or people that coach in some fashion, whether they're energy coaches, business coaches, life coaches. And a lot of them have, accountability partners, which is a coach. And it's hard to relate to that if you're not also looking for help. And I think courage is asking for help and knowing when you need it. And you, by bringing that up, just I wanted to point that out because it is important for people to recognize, even though it comes very natural for you to just come across very positive. The only thing I'm going to complain about right now is you're making my mouth hurt from smiling so much. If that's a penalty, but seriously, if there's somebody out there that's listening to this and you're just not sure where to turn, whether it's a mentor, whether it's a coach, ask for help and find out how you can help.
I'm going to share this with you. I went through an exercise earlier today where we talked about what are the feelings that you get when you ask for help. And in all transparency, for me, it used to be uncomfortable. In my mind, I don't want to put Jeff out. I know Jeff is busy. I don't want to be weak. I got this all on my own, even though I don't. I don't want to be a bother to Jeff. Now, on the flip side, the person asks, how do you feel when someone asks you for help? You feel empowered. You feel good. You feel great for the opportunity to serve someone else out. Now, when you look at those two sides of the spectrum, they're really at odds of each other.
Yeah.
What I've learned, and you can't see the grays, in my 44, soon to be 45, my birthday is June 15. I'm getting old, older and wiser, but guess what? My best is yet to come. What I've learned is that, hey, Larry, don't be scared. Don't hold all those blessings of feeling great to yourself. Ask people for help, because most people want to help others. Most people, you can learn from mistakes, which I got plenty of lumps in my head, or mentors. The easier route is the mentors, those folks that have come before you that are open to sharing their knowledge, their experiences, their resources. So my encouragement once again is take action and ask. If you need any help, you know where to find me. You'll hear me before you see me. Larry Long Jr., I'd be honored to help you along your path.
That's awesome. I got a couple questions. I'm going to come back to that one too about where they can find you. But before I get there, a couple things. One, I got to know, who's someone that you look up to in the business world?
Wow. That's goodness gracious. I'm going to give you my top three.
You must be a sales guy. I asked you for one and you give me three. Here we go.
Yeah, imagine that. Number one is my dad.
Yeah.
And he worked for Department of Veterans Affairs, serving our veterans. He was the best example that I saw day in and day out. Number two is my mom. Just an amazing, caring person, super smart, didn't have a college degree, but had a PhD from HKU, Hard Knocks University.
There you go.
Love my mama. Number three is my mentor, Mark Winchester. His actions speak so loud. I didn't need to hear what he was saying. And he's just the most caring, just unbelievable person. One of the best that I've met as a friend, as a boss, as a mentor. And it's not just me. He touches everyone that he comes in touch with in a positive manner. And I look up to that and I try to emulate that. Anytime I had the opportunity to interact with someone, I want to make sure that they leave feeling seen, heard, loved, cared for, and that they know that, hey, I got you. Here goes something to think about that I actually had to take notes on from this weekend. Hall of Fame speaker Willie Jolly, he talked about, and I want to make sure I get this quote right because I needed to hear it at this time. He said, hey, sometimes you've got to go on someone else's faith in you before yours kicks in. Talk about a mic drop moment right there. Sometimes you got to go on someone else believing in you before your own belief kicks in. So whoever's listening, I want you to know, I believe in you.
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, that's huge. That's huge. And you're right. There's a thing called faith, and some people that don't have it don't understand why other people can work through things that they can't see or they can't touch. But, faith in oneself or faith in others is important. In today's world, man, telling somebody that you believe in them, like you said, is critical for people to sometimes just make it to the next day, let alone, hit a home run.
Yeah. And something I heard that I love is faith and fear. They can't go together. They can't go. And I've tried, believe you me, I've tested it. Faith and fear, you can't have both. You got to pick one. I'm rolling with faith all day long.
I love it. Now I usually ask people what their favorite book is, but you know what? I want you to pitch me on why people need to go get JOLT. That's what I'm here to do. So pitch our listeners. Why JOLT? All the other books. Why JOLT?
Hey, Jeff, I'm going to keep it real. You don't need to get JOLT unless you need to get JOLT. And for those people that need it, they're going to get it. It's not for everyone. If you're not about that life of really being the best that you can be, then you probably don't want to read JOLT. You're going to look at it and you're going to, I don't know if people can see me, but you're going to have your arms crossed. You're going to be mean mugging. You're going to be shaking your head no. And that's okay. Do you, boo-boo. But for those folks that really give a damn, pardon my French, parlez-vous français, but if you really give a damn and you want to be the best that you can be, I can guarantee you, and there's no guarantees in life, I can guarantee you that JOLT is going to be exactly what the doctor ordered. We're getting zapped into intentionality so that we can rediscover and believe in our inner greatness. We can step into that inner greatness that we've all been blessed with. I truly believe that we all have inner greatness in some area, and so many folks are not living in that greatness. They're living in a lesser version of themselves, which is a shame. That makes me cry when I just think about it. You got greatness inside of you. Let's go.
Hey, does this quote sound familiar? Because I wanted to bring this up. Everyone has a gift. I believe mine is to help you discover yours. Does that sound familiar? Who said that? Not me.
That is, wow, goodness gracious. You
That might be somebody named Larry. I believe that you may be the one that has that on your website. And I think it's important for everybody that's as jolted and energized that I am today. Where can they find you, Larry? Where can people connect with you? Where can they see what's going on in your life?
Yeah, feel free to follow me on LinkedIn, Larry Long Jr., the man with the microphone, my website, LarryLongJr.com, my YouTube page, Larry Long Jr. I do a weekly live, the midday motivational minute. Wherever you find me, let me know how I can serve you, how I can help you, how I can be a resource for you. That would be my honor and my privilege. And Jeff, I got to give you a shout out. These Shippo hippos are strong. You did your research. I did a little bit of research of mine. I think that's the second mascot to the red birds or
the Red Raider. Yeah. Well, listen, you know what? I got to speak some other truth. Listen, before a couple weeks ago, if Larry and I passed each other in the street, we might say hello, but we didn't know each other. I saw Larry based on another person's podcast, and I saw some content information he was putting out there, and I love what he was saying. We connected for a couple minutes, and just what he said was absolutely true. He's like, man, anything I can do to serve you and help you out, I'd be happy to do it. So this guy isn't just saying it, man. He's living it. He did not have to sacrifice 2 days before his birthday to come talk to me, but he did it for the listeners. He did it, like he said, he did it to impact somebody listening, and I know he will. But I want to say thank you personally, man, because you could be doing a lot of other things like eating some fried chicken, eating dessert, which you said you're going to do. And I'm not going to hold you too long, but I really, really appreciate you coming on here, doing this, because I know it's going to impact people. And you're a true man, dude. And I appreciate it.
The feeling is mutual. And I encourage you to keep shining bright and serving others. That's really what it's all about for me in this life. And I had a boss one time who said, hey, Larry, from my perspective, there's two people out there. There's the people that were born and they just look at the world and they say, how much can I take? Those are me monsters. There's the other side, and those are folks that are looking at how much can I give. And for those that are givers, oh my goodness, I love to be around them. That spirit is so inspiring. And you talked about the recent 12 rounds for the second round boxing fundraiser that I was privileged to be a part of to serve the youth in Wake County through the Haven House, supporting them with fitness through boxing, with the opportunity to be surrounded by positive examples for these kids that need it. It's amazing. I'm on the board of Wake Med Foundation supporting healthcare in Wake County. I'm also on the board of ECHO supporting entrepreneurship for necessity-driven entrepreneurs, as well as giving exposure of entrepreneurship to middle and high schoolers. There are so many opportunities in all of our local communities to reach one, teach one, lift them up. What are you doing to serve those that could benefit from your impact? And sometimes we look in the mirror and we say, we're not worthy. I'm telling you, someone can benefit from you right now. Believe you me. And if you want to brainstorm it, I'll brainstorm it with you. I guarantee I can find an area that you can assist others. Let's go.
Listen, Larry Long Jr., everybody, he's here because he wants to make an impact. I truly believe that. Now, I have to decide. I feel like I kind of went to church, and I also feel like my coach just wants me to run out of the tunnel and go hit somebody, and I'm a little old, so I'm fragile, so I'm not going to go do that. But what I am going to do is make sure that I edit this the right way, because everybody deserves to hear this message. And again, man, Jeff Hillen, Larry Long Jr., Selling Stories, you killed it. I appreciate it, and I look forward to talking to you again, man.
I appreciate you, Jeff. Thank you so much. Be well.
Thank you.